Hello, this is Pastor Trent Petty in Silver City, New Mexico. I became concerned recently because I've heard pastors leading many Christians astray with fine sounding words that don't actually apply to the United States in the year 2020. You know, in geometry, they tell you that you have to have the correct theorem to come up with the correct answer. That's the same with Scripture. All Scripture is correct, just like these theorems are correct, but you have to apply the right one for the right situation. Romans 13:1, for example, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained by God. The Constitution of the United States was ordained by God, and that is the powers to be in the United States of America. Anyone denying that Constitution is denying God. The Declaration of Independence said, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those of us who have sworn an oath to the Constitution understand what we're doing here. We're not swearing an oath to a governor or a mayor or a president. We're swearing an oath to the Constitution of the United States. Thomas Paine stated, what we obtain too cheaply, we esteem too lightly. It is dearness only that gives everything its value. The governor is not the higher power. The Constitution is. To be faithful to Romans 13:1 is to be faithful to the Constitution of the United States. Some preachers today try to compare civil disobedience in the U.S. in 2020 to Old Testament times. It cannot be compared because you're comparing apples to oranges. The founding fathers realized this. The founding fathers lived under kings. They lived under a monarchy. They knew the pitfalls of that. They also knew the pitfalls of a democracy. That's why we are founded under a constitutional republic. We're not a democracy, as so many want to tell you today. We are a constitutional republic. In 2 Timothy, it tells us, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needs not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Let's rightly divide the word of truth here today. We're being told as Christians, we do whatever the governor tells us to do. No. That's to bow down and worship the image of Nebuchadnezzar the king, as it speaks of in Daniel. Let's compare apples to apples for a change. Let's look at the United States in 2020, and let's look at Paul, by the way, who was the author of Romans, in Acts 16. Acts 16 tells us, but Paul told the guards, the magistrates have had us beaten publicly without a trial and have thrown us into jail, even though we are Roman citizens. Now they're going to throw us out secretly? Certainly not. Have them come and escort us out. The guards reported these words to the magistrates, and they became afraid when they heard that Paul and Silas were Roman citizens. You see, they realized that Roman citizens had certain rights afforded them, and Paul understands that also. Paul was declaring his rights as a Roman citizen, and the magistrates were afraid. This is the scripture to compare us to the United States in 2020. We don't compare ourselves to prisoners of war in a foreign nation as Daniel was, or subjects under a king or a queen. We're free citizens with a constitutional republic and certain unalienable rights given by our Creator. We elected representatives, not kings, not queens, not lords, to lord it over us, but to represent us. Proper exegesis would be a comparison of Paul, a Roman citizen, declaring his God-given rights and simply guaranteed by Rome, to our God-given rights guaranteed by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I'd urge anyone to read Common Sense by Thomas Paine, written in 1776, if you don't understand this. Hebrews 10 tells us, and let us consider one another to provoke unto love and good works, not forsaking our own assembling together, as the custom of some is, but exhorting one another. When we consider one another, we don't take pictures of our feet propped up at ease while other feet are pacing the floor trying to figure out how to pay the rent and put food on the table for their children. Not that they're unwilling to work, but they can't work because they're being threatened by a lawless governor. Proverbs 22:13 speaks of these people. The lazy person says, "There's a lion outside. I'll be slain in the streets." In today's vernacular, we'd say, the lazy person says, "There's a COVID outside. I'll be slain in the streets." There's nothing more than laziness and self-centeredness. We're told by some today, stay home, don't worry about going to church, or don't worry about the 10%. That's okay too. God commanded us not to forsake the assembly. That's exactly what Daniel was doing when he was in prayer. He was thrown into the lion's den because he was doing what God had called him to do. After the Oklahoma City bombings and a number of tornadoes, people began coming together, helping those in need. It became known as the Oklahoma Standard. Former Governor Brad Henry said the Oklahoma Standard means resilience in the face of adversity. It means strength and compassion that will not be defeated. We cannot do that hiding in our homes, taking pictures of our feet propped up while others go hungry. Whatever is my right as a man is also the right of another, and it becomes my duty to guarantee as well as to possess. Thomas Paine and the Rights of Man. Benjamin Franklin also spoke, those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. We, as Christians, it is our duty to God and to country to love the Lord our God with everything that is within us and to love our neighbor as ourselves. This is Pastor Trent Petty, Silver City, New Mexico. Thank you.